Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. This podcast is being sponsored by Get Loopy. On episode 41, you can hear the story of Isabel, the co-founder and CEO. Get Loopy, get a 20% discount off your first order. GetLoopy.com. Take it from the Iron Woman. Again, we only have special guests, and today I'm honored to have Aaron in New Zealand. So welcome.
Kia ora.
How do we navigate through the many transitions that you went through?
Well, I'm Aaron from the Bronx. Not J-Lo from the Bronx, but Aaron from the Bronx. And that's when I want to talk about transitions, is that whatever you're going through now in your transition, it doesn't have to be permanent that way all the time. Later on in life, wasn't always true, but later on in life, as I was going through my various transitions, especially the one where I burned out from my job that I had in New York, the architect and engineering firm. I really burned out, really got severely depressed, and really had to take a look at myself and understand, hey, there's some things that happened in my life, but ultimately I have to make the decision to change it. Mm-hmm. So what happened there is that my family got together and talked to me, and I was ready to hear what they were saying, that I had to kind of get myself together, that just staying in a dark room, in a dark place, is not going to get me where I want to go. An opportunity for me, I went back to the VA. VA offered a lot of services, and I really focused to say, hey, I'm going to actually take advantage of these situations and the programs that the VA offers me. Mm-hmm. And since then, I'm making that simple decision that no matter how difficult these decisions get, no matter what I'm going to have to do to get out of this hole, I want to get out of this hole. And just making that decision, one, I want to get out of it. And then two, taking the actions of following up with the VA, with the services they provided. They helped pay for me to finish university at Fordham. Yeah, so I really, really appreciate the Department of Veteran Affairs. Some veterans have different experiences than I have had with the VA, and I appreciate that because not everyone has the same experience. But for me, they really helped me out. One, because they had the services to help me out, and two, I wanted to be helped. I didn't want to push it away.
That's a very good point, right? So you say you went there, but some people, they know they need help and they don't voice it. So if you don't ask for help, how can we know? I always say, if you need coaching or anything from me, reach out to me. But I cannot offer more. If people don't come to me, I don't know if they need something. So yeah, that's really good. And also, you came to a point when you said it was very dark and your family was helping you. Sometimes we need to go to such a point and then we can come out on the other side and be more positive and look at things.
Yeah. And I've learned this later on in my life too, is just to learn to be grateful, because we have a lot of stuff that goes on in our lives, as I said, and just being grateful. And sometimes my wife even lets me know that, the things I'm thinking about is a problem that people in the first world have.
Yeah, that's right.
And compare yourself to other situations and just be grateful for what you're going through and what you're having, and the struggles that you are having is that other people are going through much worse. And sometimes people don't like to hear that. Well, this is my problem. This is what I'm going through. Don't minimize what I'm going through. I'm not asking you to minimize it. It's just understanding that things can be worse and that you are going through a transition and difficult period. And I like what you said, Suzanne, that sometimes we do have to ask for help. And even if you ask for help and it doesn't work out, sometimes we ask for help and we may have asked it to the wrong person or gave our trust to the wrong person, and that turns us off. But I want to encourage the listeners to keep looking for that person or for that group or organization that has your best interest at heart, that has the integrity for them to carry out the mission that they're supposed to be carrying out.
Yeah.
And that happened to me when I was seeing counselors. I actually had to fire some of them, that's the term I use, for them to really understand what I was going through and what I needed from them, not what they thought I needed. So sometimes you have to do that. Don't be discouraged if you do reach out. Well, I did help. I asked for help and nobody helped me. Keep moving forward.
I think so.
Find another avenue, find another pathway, and reach out, like you said, to reach out. People may reach out to your network, reach out to your family and your friends and say, hey, I need some help, but this wasn't the right one for me. Do you have any other suggestions?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people think like they need to go to one person and they have all the answers. I mean, you mentioned that. And I always say, and I just spoke about that, a career counselor, you can also get a second opinion, or if it feels like, that person didn't give me the right path to go to another person. I mean, there's so many, I'm sure in the VA department also, they have other people who can help you, or where I work for the Stand Beside Them, we have more than one coach. So if it doesn't work out with one coach, it doesn't matter. And as a coach, sometimes we just have to be honest and say, I don't think it's going to work out. We're different personalities, and that's okay too. Like, I think everybody has to understand. I mean, if you want to, very simple example, if you want to buy a pair of shoes, you go to one store, it doesn't fit, you don't find anything that you like, you go to the next store or a third store or a fourth store, or even simpler, people who order it online, if the shoe doesn't fit, what do? You send it back. And that's a very simple example. But I think when it comes to asking for help, we don't dare to say, this doesn't work for me, or can I ask another question? So I think that's a very important point that you just raised here.
Yeah. And sometimes I think I heard this term sunk cost. And I think sometimes when we're involved with something so much, we have so much invested, so much time and energy and resources that we don't want to make a change, and we kind of just stick to it. And I was listening to another podcast, and they asked the person kind of what did they learn? They did something for a year, and they said one thing I really learned is that no matter how much time and energy you invest in something, you can always have the opportunity to change. A lot of people stay in situations just because of all the time and energy and resources they invested in something, and that may not be the best path for them. But they kind of feel they still want to do it because they decide to do it and go another path. All that time is wasted.
I don't think it's wasted. I mean, it's just another experience that we have. And sometimes we need to, as a coach, I think we need to direct the person to look at things differently. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I never thought about that. So sometimes we're such in our box that we don't see outside. Transitions that come easier to you now because you have been going through some, or every transition that comes to you is difficult.
Exactly right. It doesn't come easier. I'm a little bit out of shape now. It's winter here, so I got my comfort food, and I love my New Zealand chocolate at night, so I gained a little bit of weight. One thing that I do like to do is road cycling.
Oh, okay.
And when I first started, it's very difficult. And then when I kind of get in a little better shape, it's a little bit easier. But what I do notice is that even if it gets easier, I still got to go up that same hill. Mm-hmm. And it's
a hill. A hill is a hill.
A hill is a hill. Exactly. So to get to your question about transition, no, to be honest, it doesn't get easier. Mm-hmm. And I remember asking one person here, there's a big bicycle race in Taupo, New Zealand, where I'm at. It's a beautiful lake. And I've done half the lake, 80K. And you can do various distances at this bicycle tour. And one person I know had done 160K several times. And I asked him, does it get easier each year? And he said, hell no, it doesn't get easier.
Oh, no.
So the transitions they're not easy. But what I did is, and this is one of the things what we try to help when I worked with the Department of Corrections, is trying to get offenders to reframe it. Mm-hmm. So that's what I try to do. So even though I may do something different and go to a transition, I reframe it and say, this is an opportunity for me to learn And one of the big things, Suzanne, is that I've learned to forgive myself. I'm kind of I want everything to be perfect and lined up and go exactly the way I want it to go. And when something is throwing me a curveball, I don't like that. I kind of want it to go the way that I want it to go. So I've learned that I just had to reframe that and understanding that everything is not, it's not going to go perfect. My wife has a great saying called "suck it and see." So sometimes you just got to try it. It may suck, but you got to see how it goes.
That's very good advice. I think your wife is a very wise woman, and I'm very happy that you met her and that you made that transition to New Zealand.
So am I. Mm-hmm. And even software companies do this. They may put out a particular version of software. You know, they know it may not, they're going to have some bugs in it and some things are not going to work, and I'll get feedback from the clients and from the customers. But in life, we can't wait for everything to have that perfect moment to move forward. And forgive yourself. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to stumble. You may say the incorrect words. You may not get it right the first time. Mm-hmm. When you start a new training program, you're going to get tired and feel like, what am I? I'm not losing any weight. My breathing is still labored. It's not easy. Mm-hmm. But sometimes we just have to forgive ourselves and say, okay, I'm starting. This is new. When I learn something new, I know I have to take time. And a lot of training that I do, it's with men and women, but mostly it was men, definitely with corrections. Is that, and I relate this to a lot of them here. Rugby is a big sport in New Zealand. Mm-hmm. So a lot of them played rugby when they were in elementary school and high school. I said, when you first went on a rugby field, did you know everything that you were supposed to do? Mm-hmm. Did you do everything correctly the first time? No. We had to practice. We had to practice. And you made some mistakes when you were learning, right? Yeah. Well, it's the same way here. This is something new for you. You're going to practice and get better. Mm-hmm. When you worked out at the gym, you know, were you the strongest guy in the gym on the first day? No. I had to build up to lift the heavier weights. I know. But same thing here. You got to start where you can start, and these keep coming back and building those muscles, and then you start to get it. And it kind of clicks with people when you kind of put it in something that they understand that, you know, even if it's learning to cook, I'm not the best cook. I don't like to cook. But since I've come to here in New Zealand, my wife is very busy in her field, and sometimes I have to at least start dinner. She may finish it for me. Mm-hmm. And when I was first learning to cook a little bit better, I was very organized, and everything had to go right, and I had to get everything right. And I've learned, hey, if I forget an ingredient, who's going to know except me? Well, somebody may know, but they could add it later on.
Yeah. I think these are very wise advice. So forgive yourself. And I mean, it's nice to be a perfectionist, but it doesn't help us, especially when we go through transitions. And I also think, as you said that before, go with the flow makes it a lot easier. And then you can be also more forgiving. Wise advice. Any final inspirational, motivational thoughts on your side for the listeners?
I think the big thing for me is to forgive yourself. So every day anew. And I've been reading some of your things. I really like reading your blogs and some of the things that you have on Facebook. And one of the things that you're honest about is that you have a plan for the week or a plan for a few days. And the plan may not come together, but you forgive yourself and then you start anew. Yeah. So one of the things that I want to encourage the listeners is that everything is not going to go according to plan. When you make transitions, give yourself a break. Tell yourself, okay, this is something new. I'm learning it. I'm building a new muscle here. Forgive yourself and understand that eventually where you're at today is not going to be at where you are a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. Mm-hmm. That what happening today is not permanent. And that really keeps a lot of perspective for me, even though it has some challenges. We're building a house right now, and there's a lot of decisions to make, and it's chaotic. That what's happening today is not necessarily going to be the same as happening a year from now. So keep things in perspective, reframe it, make it simple, forgive yourself, and understand that what's happening today is not going to be lasting forever.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for all your insight, Aaron, and certainly good luck with building the house. Thank you so much for today, and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. You take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Always nice to reconnect with a person from the past. Stand Beside Them is a wonderful organization who is helping veterans to reintegrate into civilian life. What are you taking away from this? There's always another hill. There's always another hill. Why not conquer the hill? Go through the transitions with ease and with flow and grace, and don't beat yourself up. Take it from the Iron Woman. We have episodes every Monday, every Wednesday. Chime in, like us, leave a review, and don't forget to order Loopy, the plant-based snack. You get 20% off of your first order. Take it from the Iron Woman. See you next week. Thank you.